Good morning, lovelies. How are we? Well, today we are going to read The Snail and the Whale. But today's edition is going to be dedicated to a new big sister all the way over the oceans. Many oceans in the USA. Today, we're going to dedicate the story to Lara, who's just become a big sister to baby Felix. And I hear she is being a fabulous big sister. So Lara, well done you, darling. Keep looking after your brother and your mama. Okay, I don't know if we'll see any whales today. It's not quite the right time. But let's have a little read. The Snail and the Whale. This is the tale of a tiny snail and a great big grey-blue humpback whale. This is a rock as black as soot, and this is a snail with an itchy foot. The sea snail slithered all over the rock and gazed at the sea and the ships in the dock. And as she gazed, she sniffed and sighed. The sea is deep and the world is wide. How long to sail, said the tiny snail. These are the other snails in the flock who all stuck tight to the smooth black rock and said to the snail with the itchy foot, "Be quiet, don't wriggle, sit still, stay put." But the tiny sea snail sighed and sniffed and cried, "I've got it, I'll hitch a lift." This is the trail of the tiny snail, a slivery trail that looked and curled and said, "Lift wanted around the world." And the ship is called the Pride of Glasgow, which is my city. Majestic. This is the whale who came one night when the tide was high and the stars were bright. A humpback whale immensely long who sang to the snail a wonderful song of shimmering ice and coral caves and shooting stars and enormous waves. No waves today, it's very still. And this is the tale of the humpback whale. He held it out of the starlight sea and said to the snail, "Come on, sail with me." This is the sea so wild and free that carried the whale and the snail, you see him on his tail, to towering icebergs and far-off lands, with fiery mountains and golden sands. Who's this little fella? These are the waves that arched and crashed, that foamed and frolicked and sprayed and splashed. The tiny snail is holding on the tail of the whale. These are the caves beneath the waves, where stripy fish with feathery fins and sharks with hideous toothy grins swam around the whale, and the snail still on his tail. Oh, look at this fella. We've got a little octopus. This is the sky, so vast and high. Sometimes sunny and blue and warm, and sometimes filled with a thunderstorm. With zigzag lighting, flashing and frightening, the tiny snail still on the tail of the whale. And she gazed at the sea, the sky and the land, the waves and the caves and the golden sand. She gazed and gazed, amazed by it all, and she said to the whale, "I feel so small." And then came the day the whale lost his way. These are the speedboats running a race, zigging and zooming all over the place, upsetting the whale with their ear-splitting roar and making him swim too close to the shore. Oopsie doopsie. This is the tide slipping away. And this is the whale lying beached in a bay. Oh no. Quick, off the sand and back to sea, cried the snail. I can't move on land, I'm too big, moaned the whale. The snail felt helpless and terribly small. Then, I've got it, she cried, and started to crawl. I must not fail, said the tiny snail. This is the bell on the school in the bay, ringing the children in from their play. This is the teacher holding her chalk, telling the class, sit straight, don't talk. This is the board as black as soot, and this is the snail with the itchy foot. A snail, the teacher turns pale. Look, said the children, I'm leaving a trail. This is the trail of the tiny snail, a silvery trail saying, these are the children running from school, fetching the firemen and digging a pool. Squirting and spraying to keep the whale nice and cool. This is the tide coming into the bay, and these are the villagers shouting, hooray! As the whale and the snail travel safely away. Who have we got? Back to the dock and the flock on the rock, who said how time's flown, and haven't you grown? And the whale and the snail told their wonderful tale of shimmering ice and coral caves and shooting stars and enormous waves. And of how the snail, so small and frail, with her looping, curling, silvery trail, saved the life of a humpback whale. Then the humpback whale held out his tail, and on crawled snail after snail. How many can we count? And they sang to the sea as they all set sail on the tail of the grey-blue humpback whale. Beautiful. Okay, lovelies. I hope you enjoyed the story of the snail and the whale, especially Miss Lara and little Felix. Mwah. Bye, lovelies.